Him and Biz Marquee.
What about when he did the ass talking?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
He's like, that's disgusting.
Every 10-year-old's favorite thing to do forever after that.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Sleazy Podcast, the podcast about anything and everything, but mostly TV and movies. And now it's time to get sleazy.
Hopefully that wasn't out of tune there. Out of sync, whatever you want to call it.
It'll be fine.
Welcome back to the Sleazy Podcast. This is episode 160. We are your hosts. We got Robzilla. He was late today.
Hello.
Not that you'll know it, but and Mr. PBS was the one that was actually a half hour early this time.
I had something funny here to say to make fun of Robzilla, but I forgot it. So
And
I have to save it for another time.
It'll come to you. It's okay.
for those of you that don't know me, I am Sleazy. So, you know, we couldn't record Friday. I had a makeup game for baseball for the kiddos. We had, oh man, it was crazy. We had 2 kids get hurt Thursday night, and then like 4 other kids took, vacations or just weren't available. So we had to get kids to fill in and call younger kids up to play with us, but we made it.
Damn.
We didn't win, but we made it. So
Coach is the year, I guess.
no, I wouldn't say that. Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, man, we're in full force of summer is here. It's upon us now.
Unfortunately.
With that
Yeah.
heat.
Yeah. It's I mean, I tell you, it was super hot like 2 weeks ago, and it's got really cool all of a sudden, and now it's kind of creeping back up there.
Yeah, I walked out. I was like, fuck, it's hot again.
But
Damn.
hopefully, the after effects of the air show that's going on right now don't translate into the recording. I don't think it will. It shouldn't pick up any rumbling of the house. But about every 20 minutes or so, the neighborhood's getting buzzed from jets that are flying through or other airplanes that are, participating in the I believe it's the Columbus Air Show.
Yeah.
So
Are those really jets? That's the question.
are they jets or are they holograms
Yep.
with speakers attached to them?
Exactly. Who knows?
I mean, if we're going to get crazy here, let's go as crazy as we can.
Let's get nuts.
Yeah, let's get nuts. Yeah, so how's everybody's week's been since we've recorded 2 weeks ago?
Been fine. Just been working and catching on shows, watching TV. So,
Yeah?
yep.
Okay, all right.
Nothing crazy.
How about you, Mr. PBS?
Me. Too much work.
Yeah. Too much work?
Too much work, too much people bothering you. I get it.
I hear you, dude.
I don't know. Am I the only one who you ever get a nice cool night? You just kind of look out the front door and you're like, I could just walk away from it all right now.
I think about that all the time. Like, how much money will it take me to get to, a destination, and could I survive comfortably there?
You hear these stories about people I just pick up and left one day and moved to some new city, and you're like, really?
And
How?
And never look back. I never look back, and my life's so great now. Like, fuck you, person.
Yeah.
In modern America, how do you do that? How did you just pick up and go find some job somewhere to actually afford a place?
Especially now,
right.
anyways. Like back 70s or something. Yeah, people just fucking traveled and shit. Said fuck it, left off the grid.
Yeah, well, back in the day, you could do it. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, you could just pick up. It was cheap enough to go somewhere and do a bullshit job and make $200 and still live off of it every week.
Go work at a diner or construction, and then you're good to go.
I mean, go mow Jerry's lawn for a 20 bill and go get drunk afterwards.
Yeah.
But
And next thing you know, you're fixing somebody's lawnmower, and then the next thing you know, you got a whole business out of nowhere. or something like that.
Right. That just doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, me, man, I just been busy with the kids' baseball, the nephews' baseball. That's a Monday through Thursday thing, but it is coming to an end. This is the final week. We have it's the playoff tournament. Everybody gets in, but we drew the 2 toughest teams in each league.
Yeah.
So, 2 of the toughest teams, but there's a chance that we could be done on Monday and Tuesday. But I'd like to see them at least win one game in the playoffs and get a little confidence for themselves for next year.
Lift up the spirits.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens.
It's like that South Park episode where they all have to play Little League.
Yeah,
They're like, "Can we be done yet?" And they get so good so that they can play poorly.
yeah. It's funny because I mean, like a couple. There's like a kid on each team. Like they just have no interest in being there. And like when you get there and you start talking to them, it's nothing about baseball. They're just ready to go home and get something to eat and play video games.
Mom or dad wants them to do it, or like they got a brother who's playing already or something.
Yeah. So they get looped into it. Yeah, that's how it is.
They're trying to make them the next baseball star, and they're like, I don't want to fucking do this.
Yeah, yep. But man, I tell you what, I've been catching up on the Fear of the Walking Dead, which we'll talk about that later. What you watching segment. But yeah, that's. I mean, I've just been sparingly trying to watch stuff here and there. So, but it's been an eventful 2 weeks, and I'm happy to be here with you guys and record. But so, are we ready to just go straight into crazy news?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hit it. Mr. PBS. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, I hope everybody's got their milkshakes ready. Bill Murray and Kellis reportedly dating after chilling at her shows.
Is that how you say her name?
I think it's Khalees.
Khalees.
I don't know.
Come on, Mr. PBS. You ain't that old.
I mean, I know who she is, but I couldn't tell you how to pronounce her name.
I think it's Khalees.
Bill Murray and
Is that French?
they are apparently Hollywood. This is from TMZ. Apparently, Hollywood's newest couple. ... At least according to a new report that says the two are dating. The veteran actor and milkshake singer recently started hitting it off, according to the U.S. Sun, which reports they've been hanging out a lot together, both in the United States and across the pond. While it may sound like an unlikely pairing at first glance, 72-year-old Bill recently took in a couple of 43-year-old shows in London, posing for a backstage photo together after at least one of the gigs. Not only that, they were reportedly also seen at the same London hotel and have been getting close since linking up stateside.
Look at that. They look like a happy couple there in that Photoshop picture.
There is a common bond between them, though it's not exactly cheery. Her second husband died in March of 2022, and Bill's estranged wife died in 2021, and that's one of the things they reportedly bonded over.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't sound like they are putting labels on their situation. The outlet cited a friend as saying, whatever it is that has brought them together, and however unlikely it seems, they are both single and are having fun, despite the fairly big age gap. We reached out to reps for both Bill and Kellis. So far, no word back.
It's Khalees, man.
Sure.
The milkshake lady.
Yes.
Man, I'm happy for Bill.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Bill having some fun,
Yeah.
enjoying life a little bit,
Live it up, Bill.
dating a young hottie, a younger hottie.
Yeah,
let's say.
she's 43, and people act like, oh my God, she's 21. It's like, no, she's fucking.
You get to a certain age and, you've lived just as much. Well, I mean, obviously you haven't lived as much life, but in terms of shared experiences and stuff, there's bound to be something that you can relate to.
Yeah.
I don't want to say something like age doesn't matter, but kind of after a certain age, it doesn't. I mean, it's not like he's hanging around the high school trying to pick up some teenager.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, once you're past your late 20s and, early 30s, you've kind of experienced a lot of things and you can relate to older people. And so, it is what it is. I mean, good for Bill and good for Khalees. So, I wonder.
Not like he's going to dump her when she turns 25 or whatever.
Right. Do you think he's made a milkshake joke with her? I mean, people have to do that all the time. People have to do that.
Does he even know that she sung that?
Yeah, that is a good question.
You're the one who sings
he's
that?
at the concert, so he has to know, right?
Did it say where they met?
At the concerts, at one of the concerts. in London.
Okay. So
Whether that was the first time they met or not.
she wasn't performing, or
She was, yeah. at her
oh, okay,
concerts.
okay. Sorry, I was while you were reading that, I was trying to get the article pulled up and get it shared on the YouTube. But that's cool though. So I mean, apparently he must be a fan of some sort.
Good for them.
Yeah. I mean, happy endings for Bill Murray and Khalees.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I mean, if I dated Khalees, I'd have to get a picture of me drinking a milkshake
All the time.
and hugging her or something,
Yeah.
Like, you just have to do it. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next article here. I think that's Fed's Human Brains.
Ugh.
Is that the title here we're moving to?
Sure, we'll go to that one.
All right. I put it up on the screen.
This is from Boston, I believe. Human remains. Feds, human brains, skin stolen from Harvard morgue, sold on black market. The manager of Harvard Medical School's morgue is accused of letting buyers come into the morgue to pick what remains they wanted to buy, then stealing parts of donated cadavers like brains, skin, and bones. This is from NBC Boston.
Mm-hmm.
A group of people stole and sold off human remains from Harvard Medical School's morgue, federal prosecutors say, with the grand jury indicting the morgue's manager and his wife, among others. The body part stealing scheme stretched from 2018 to early 2023, according to a complaint filed in federal court in Scranton, Pennsylvania, where one of the defendants lives. Another defendant runs a store called Cat's Creepy Creations in Peabody, Massachusetts, that was searched in March. Yeah, it's pretty creepy, I guess.
Can we go to that store one time, just take a sleazy vacation and visit creepy things or something?
Yeah, I mean, we go up there, you go to Maine, do the Stephen King tour.
Hell yeah. Oh, I know you'd be down for that.
Go to Salem and all that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cedric Lodge, the morgue manager, is accused of letting buyers come into the morgue to pick what remains they wanted to buy, then stealing parts of donated cadavers like brains, skin, and bones, taking them to his home in New Hampshire and shipping them to buyers through the mail.
Whenever you read brains from this article, all I can think about is brains.
Yeah. Tarman and
brains.
Yeah. Brains.
It wasn't immediately clear if all had attorneys who speak to their charges. A mortician from Kansas was previously charged in the investigation. A whole lot of people there. A federal grand jury has brought charges of conspiracy and transporting stolen goods across state lines against all 6 people. If convicted, they face up to 15 years in prison for the charges, prosecutors said. Some crimes defy understanding, said U.S. Attorney Gerard Karam in a statement. The theft and trafficking of human remains strikes at the very essence of what makes us human. It is particularly egregious that so many of the victims here volunteered to allow the remains to be used to educate medical professionals and advance the interests of science and healing. For them and their families to be taken advantage of in the name of profit is appalling.
It's almost as bad as like the one story we did a long time ago about the Army taking bodies that were donated for science and blowing them up.
Yeah, the cadavers.
Just to see how they, would react to certain grenades and stuff.
Bill Hicks used to have a joke, and he's like, do you want to put grandma in a home, or do you want her to go to Hollywood and be in the next Chuck Norris movie? And Chuck Norris just kicks her head off. way to go, Meemaw. She's like, do you want to see Meemaw's last pulse go from her heart through her translucent skinny veins, or do you want to see her meet Steven Seagal crack? Okay.
You would forever be immortalized as the real cadaver that got its head kicked off.
Yeah.
He characterized Harvard Medical School as another victim of the scheme and appreciated their cooperation with the federal investigation. Cedric Lodge, 55, was fired on May 6th. The Harvard medical deans wrote to the community in a message titled "An Abhorrent Betrayal." The university has been working with federal investigators and examining logs of cremations to see which anatomical donors may have been affected by the incident. We are appalled to learn that something so disturbing could happen on our campus, a community dedicated to healing and serving others. The reported incidents are betrayal of HMS, and most importantly, each of the individuals who altruistically chose to will their bodies to HMS through the Anatomical Gifts Program to advance medical education and research, said the statement from George Daly, the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine at Harvard University, and Edward Hundert, the Dean of Medical Education at Harvard Medical School. They offered an apology to the families and loved ones and donors, offering them resources, including a 24/7 counseling hotline. Anyone who thinks they may have been affected by the scheme can also reach out to federal investigators.
So let me ask you guys a question. Your parents, their last wish and testament is to be sent off for science, and to be researched on and help people learn from their body. And you find out this happens. Are you really traumatized? that you need to call like a hotline? I mean,
I'm not traumatized. I'd be pissed because
you'd be upset,
yeah,
right?
because I'm like, this
but I'm not calling a hotline and talking to somebody about it.
I mean, can I get some money out of it?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, anything, I would think somebody owes you some money for the damages.
Where is my cut?
Yeah, the damages that have been done to your parents' corpse.
You're right.
But I mean, I'm not gonna be like emotionally scarred over it. I mean, at that point, your parents long gone, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Maybe other people react differently to this.
Well, it might be different if you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you see your fucking dead father's face on someone walking past. Like, yeah, that would be a little bit traumatizing, you know.
What was the one store that we just Peabody?
Cat's creepy, whatever.
Yeah, if you walked into that store and you saw.
Yeah.
Somebody, you know, an arm, you're like, that looks like my mom's arm.
Yeah. I recognize that tattoo. What the fuck?
Taxidermy at its finest. Okay, so we at the end of this, or
just about here. The federal complaint depicts a busy black market in human remains facilitated by the lodges, who allegedly took body parts before they were scheduled to be cremated. In 2020, McLean allegedly paid $600 for 2 desiccated faces she picked up at the school's morgue from Cedric Lodge. Months later, Taylor, who was from West Lawn, Pennsylvania, sent Denise Lodge $200 with a memo that read, quote, brains, according to the complaint. In all, Taylor, 46, who was accused of sending the lodges over $37,000 for human remains. The FBI confirmed in March that agents searched 2 locations in Peabody, including Cat's Creepy Creations. The Bureau didn't comment on the search at the time. The shop sells horror and macabre-themed oddities. Multiple posts on the Cat's Creepy Creations Instagram page depict what it says are human skulls, including one from February 2020 that says, "If you're in the market for human bones, hit me up." The 44-year-old from Salem, Massachusetts, didn't respond to questions from reporters outside of federal court in Boston Wednesday.
All right, hold on a second. We just got to do this.
So that's the human skin, who was arrested there last year and is accused of buying stolen remains from a mortuary employee in Arkansas, including the remains of 2 stillborn babies who are meant to be cremated. Paulie's Instagram account also shows a plethora of human remains for sale, including brains, teeth, and bones.
Oh, man. It looks like they've got their Instagram blocked or something.
What?
There's a TikTok.
Oh, well.
Is a TikTok up? I don't see one that's particular. That one chick. Sarah? Okay. Discover videos related to Cat's Creepy. Come on. So they don't have their website up anymore, it doesn't look like. Ah, that sucks. I was kind of hoping to see what they had to offer.
Yeah.
Aside from stolen body parts. Such a shame. Such a shame.
It's a letdown.
It really is. I mean, why do they got to take that stuff down? It should be preserved for public record, right?
Yeah. Come on, Cat. Fucking up.
Well, they probably took so much heat, they were like, we have to delete this before somebody kills us.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move along to our next story here. And this is the Penn State professor, right?
Sure.
That was a nice shore.
From body snatching to, this. Penn State professor charged for alleged bestiality with his colleague.
Oh, man.
Quote, "I do it to blow off steam," the professor reportedly told officials. I didn't notice this.
It's okay to do it.
I didn't notice this, but the author of this article is Ron Dicker. So there you go. This is from HuffPost. That's right. He'd laugh at that.
Oh, yeah.
A Penn State University chemical engineering professor is accused of bestiality with his dog in acts caught on trail cameras. Themis Matsoukas, 64, was charged Tuesday in Huntington County, Pennsylvania, with open lewdness, indecent exposure, sexual intercourse with an animal, cruelty to animals, and disorderly conduct, the Center Daily Times reported. He's been placed on leave by the university where he has worked since 1991. But Sukas was identified by rangers who said they linked him to a North Face backpack and a Subaru Outback present in some of the footage from Rothrock State Forest, WTAJ reported.
Wow, that's bad.
Got my Subaru. Authorities said they determined that the collie in the clips from April and May was the same pet investigators found when they searched his home. They also said they found the backpack and an iPad shown in the trail cam pictures. I'm done. I'm dead. You don't understand. I do it to blow off steam, Mitsukas told rangers from the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources who arrived with a search warrant on June 9th.
It's okay. I'm just a little stressed, and this is just how I blow off steam. Nobody's getting hurt or anything.
I'm not trying to hurt the animal. Just
How
trying
do
to
you
fuck
know?
it.
How do you know the animal doesn't like it? I mean, come on.
You know, I had a friend a while ago who pointed out something like that. He said, you know, it's if the person is doing it to the animal, you know, the animal can't consent. But if it's the other way around, you know, like if the dog's humping your leg, the dog's obviously into it. The question is whether you consent or not. So, like, you know what? That's a fair point, I guess.
Well, it's just so weird. I mean,
Now, lastly, I don't consent to this, please.
Just one more reason that prostitution should be legal.
right. Hey, just go blow off some steam by yourself. How about that?
Yeah. Or how about a human fucking being, please?
He begged the rangers to shoot him, Fox 43 reported, citing the charging documents. Cameras that caught Mitsukas were being used to find out who was stealing hand sanitizer at the state
Oh
park.
my God.
StateCollege.com reported.
What? It's always like the most odd things that get people busted.
I just got caught up in a hand sanitizer thing.
Yeah. The little, you know, the people that were stealing hand sanitizer, such a petty thing. Like, who worries about it? Who worries about somebody stealing hand sanitizer?
Apparently them.
I mean, is somebody literally going there every week and taking multiple things of hand sanitizer?
Yeah.
But that's just crazy. But I mean, hey, I guess it was there for a reason.
Yeah.
To catch an animal fucker.
Yeah. Sicko.
Matsukas has been relieved of his responsibilities and is on leave. The university said in a statement to StateCollege.com. HuffPost did not immediately hear back from Matsukas. His lawyer declined to comment to the Center Daily Times. I'm sure he did.
Yeah. Then they're not speaking about it. Look at this dude.
He does look like he has a touch of the Predator.
He looks like an evil guy from a movie, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like he's plotting to do something evil.
He's trying to kill the world with the nuclear warheads and shit.
Well, he will now that he doesn't have anything to blow off steam.
Right, right. Well, I mean, now he can blow off steam with somebody in prison.
Yeah.
So that's pretty bad when you get caught doing something so shameful. You just want somebody to shoot you right there.
And you know it's
I think
that
if
bad.
I was caught doing something like that.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, do you just try to attack the cop and make him
Right.
shoot you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he just couldn't. But
It's coming right for us.
that's when you just like, I've got a gun in my pocket and I'm going to pull it out.
Yeah.
You think they were like, sir, you're not a person of color. We're not going to hurt you.
Sir, you apparently look white, so we're just going to let you slide here.
Yeah.
We'll slightly tase you until you put down the weapon.
Yeah. I mean, it's just weird. But you think they roughed him up a little bit?
And to go to a state forest and do it.
Yeah. Like, why didn't you just do it at your home?
I like being out in nature.
Yeah.
I guess so.
It relaxes the beast.
Hey, everybody. Well, I would say everybody, but people got their turn-ons, I guess, and dude just fucked up in
Maybe he
some
had
way.
the throw of getting caught, and he got caught. for
Yeah,
stupid
it's probably
shit.
what it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times that's what it is.
Yeah, it is.
So
Here's a little bit more information from a different site. As to the hand sanitizer, they were trying on April 12th to identify individuals who were stealing bags of hand sanitizer from public restrooms. So they were going in and getting the whole thing.
Oh, okay. So not just like little bits of shit, just actually like.
that's like stealing the soap, though, too. Like,
Yeah.
is it really worth it to? I mean, I guess it is worth it when somebody's stealing.
Around 8 p.m. the following day, the camera captured multiple brief videos that allegedly showed a man later identified as Matsukas who was naked, except for a ski mask, wristwatch, boots, and backpack, masturbating near the women's restroom, and then engaging in a sexual act with a dog.
Oh yeah, so he's got some definite.
Oh, and apparently the videos also showed he appeared to be recording himself with said iPad.
So it's not just
that
a phone.
man's laptop.
They've got dual video evidence against this dude. Wow,
You know that video's on the fucking black
what
market.
a fucking freak. Mm-hmm. What a freak. I mean, that's the only thing you can say about this dude. I mean, he was jerking off outside the women's restroom. And then he was going and banging the dog out on the trail. Like,
Well, he's going to really enjoy prisons because he's going to be locked up like a puppy in the shelter.
so yeah, it had to have been some. It's like that guy that would go in and drink the kids' urine here in Ohio. Remember that?
I don't remember that one.
Yeah,
I vaguely remember
It was
that.
at some sports complex. He was going in and he had like little pee traps set up, and he'd watch the kids urinate and then collect their urine. So, and then he would go home and drink it or whatever. But
I feel like there's certain people at that point that you can't rehabilitate those kind of people.
like the thrill of getting caught. Let's see here. My life is ruined. I can't do any of the things any of the other things that you enjoy. It just doesn't seem logical.
Well, you have to realize this day and age as well. It's 2023. I mean, you can't escape shit when you're.
Do you think his defense is going to be certain times I identify as a dog?
I just need to blow off some steam, sir. That's just a little excessive.
You know, I was since they got the new season of Black Mirror out, I was thinking back to that first episode
Yeah.
where they make the prime minister have sex with a pig or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
like what if this guy was just in a similar situation? Like, what if somebody kidnapped Robzilla and they said, Sleazy, we need you to go to a state park and masturbate and film it with an iPad, or we're going to kill Robzilla.
You might as well put a bullet in him.
I mean, is
Say
it
your
just
prayers.
that, or is it, does the animal come into play?
Well, let's just say it's just that.
See,
I don't know,
That's
man.
how that starts off. Is just that one thing. You're like, oh, let's just see how much you really like.
I'd probably just
a dog.
I'd probably just post a job opening for Robzilla's spot.
Sorry
We
about
need a new castmate.
Sorry about your luck.
He's like, out of respect for Zilla, at least make it quick.
Like, Rob's time was coming eventually. So,
Just make it quick for him at least.
so
some
it's just time to move on. We just moved on. Rob got kidnapped, and we just said, "Fuck it."
I'm kind of pleased that we've managed to not like have any child murders or anything on this episode of Crazy News. It's just bestiality and body snatching.
There's no crazy mothers that are pretending their kids are zombies, or at least saying it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got a couple more, and these are a little more crazier. So these definitely speak to. I mean, I'll just tell you, the world is an interesting place right now. After you get done hearing these,
Not interesting. Wild.
yeah, wild indeed. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
This is the News Nation special that we're on.
Hit the X-Files theme.
That's one of the most iconic themes ever.
It really is.
That used to just the theme used to freak me out.
Oh yeah, it would set the tone for the show.
Especially if it's like late at night and you're by yourself when you're like 8, you're like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, let's see here. We are not alone. The UFO whistleblower speaks. Former intelligence officer makes claims of potential extraterrestrial life. Whistleblower. U.S. has quite a number of non-human vehicles. David Grush. We're definitely not alone. He said this is from the News Nation here. For decades, the UFO question has been consigned to the realm of speculation, conspiracy theory, and science fiction. However, in recent years, serious people have started taking on the subject with a more academic approach. The renewed interest has been prompted in part by the recent release of videos purporting to show encounters between American naval aviators and what the Pentagon has labeled UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Like, why'd they have to rename it? Why couldn't they just say UFO?
I think they're trying to make a distinction because I think UFO has definite like alien connotations. Like if you say UFO, somebody's thinking like Independence Day, Yeah. Whereas an unidentified aerial phenomenon is.
But now people just associate UAP with
right.
So it makes no sense.
The renewed if UAP do indeed represent a potential threat to our security, then the capabilities, systems, processes, and sources we use to observe and study or analyze these phenomena need to be classified at appropriate levels, said Scott Bray, Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. The DoD has established a special team, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Team, AARO. Its job to investigate and identify what are now hundreds of reported sightings. So far, they have not confirmed any of them to constitute proof of alien life. The U.S. government's official stance, however, remains the same. Human beings are alone. Aren't we all alone? But now, for the first time, a former member of AARO is speaking out with a stunning story.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
My name is David Grush. I came from a blue-collar family in Pittsburgh and had the money for college. I always admired people in uniform, and I've always wanted to be part of something bigger than myself.
You notice he had to make that point. I had money for college.
Yeah.
About 18 years ago, he received an Air Force scholarship in physics. He was originally commissioned on active duty and served 14 years in the Air Force. He became a career intelligence officer. Grush spent time on the ground in Afghanistan and other places he can't mention before rotating back to Washington, D.C. In my last position, which I left in April of 2023, I co-led the UAP portfolio for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and some of the highest officials within the Department of Defense and intelligence community used to call on me to advise them on some of the hardest target sets the country had.
So did you know that there was a National Geospatial Intelligence Agency?
No.
Before this article?
I had no
this
idea.
news?
No.
There's all kinds of these little bullshit departments out there.
Yeah.
So why do they have so many departments and all these like that's how much money gets thrown around in the government. It's absurd.
National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
What do they fucking do there?
Like they observe the space between the ground and the sky,
Right.
which I guess is a lot of things.
Yeah.
He told News Nation he was entrusted with some of the country's most intimate secrets. The most earth-shattering of those secrets, he claims, were revealed after 2019 when he was invited to join the UAP task force. I have, based on my full security clearance and multiple polygraphs. What is it with these guys and always polygraphs? They all got polygraphs ready to go.
Yeah.
Lie detector tests in parentheses.
Had the ability to read into any program that I needed, he said. At one point in time, I was extremely highly cleared. That sounds like something Donald Trump would say. I was extremely highly cleared. During that time, Grush claims the UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
All right.
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles. Call it spacecraft if you will. Non-human exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed. Okay. He says he didn't believe it at first. I thought it was totally nuts. And I thought at first I was being deceived. People started to confide in me, approaching me. I had plenty of senior former intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career. They confided in me that they were part of a program, he said. They named the program. I'd never heard of it. They told me based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof that there was in fact a program that the UAP task force was not read into. Grush is hesitant to use the term alien life. I couch it as somebody who has studied physics, where maybe they're coming from a different physical dimension as described in quantum mechanics. We know there are extra dimensions due to high energy particle collisions, etc., and there's a theoretical framework to explain that. So wait a minute, we just went from possible aliens to possible quantum beings?
Yes. Yes. It gets wild, man. This dude, I watched, I don't know if I watched the full hour, but I watched a good portion of it. And the guy sounds very intelligent, very well spoken, and like your bullshit meter just doesn't go off when you hear this guy when he's describing certain things. And he never really like says like aliens, but he says there's something else, pretty much. Yeah. And there's definitely crafts that they have, and I believe he said they have like 11. So that kind of backs up what Bob Lazar said all along.
Yeah, check out Bob Lazar. He's been saying that for years. And people are like, he's fucking lying. And then like stuff came out where, well, it's Bob's telling the truth.
Carry on with the article, sir.
He's never personally seen non-human intelligence, but says he's spoken to enough people directly involved in what he calls the program that he's convinced it's real. I started out as a non-believer. I came to the problem as a hardcore physics guy, intel officer. So I have, excuse my language, high bullshit factor. I was very methodical, interviewing people who didn't know each other and making sure this wasn't some kind of cover-up of some other program. Pressed to gain direct access to the program, and that's when the trouble started. He claims his investigation was stymied, and his requests for access were rebuffed. Stymied and rebuffed. They shut the door in my face. They denied me access to these programs, he said. Soon after, he says he endured reprisals and retaliations from above. He reported that information to the intelligence community, Inspector General, and eventually filed a whistleblower complaint. The experience, he says, is why he has decided to go public in a recent article in The Debrief, written by Leslie Keene. Bruce says he is not being paid for any of the testimonials, but rather is doing it out of a sense of service. Call me a Boy Scout or whatever. It's just when I saw that kind of wrongdoing I don't want to be 60 or 70 years old in the future and have that, could have, should have, would have kind of feeling where I could make a difference. He said, I did not want to live a life of regrets. And his conviction remains the same. We're definitely not alone, he said. The data points quite empirically that we're not alone. He says the United States has intact spacecraft in its possession and possibly bodies.
Yeah, this is the creepy line right here.
Well, naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true. He told News Nation that he has some interesting photos and read some very interesting reports. However, he says that the specific documents and photos that would have proved his claim are still classified and he cannot disclose them here. When asked about his credibility and why his claim should be taken seriously, Grush pointed to his credentials. Well, we provided the proof internally to the Inspector General and went into all the details, he said. I have the credentials. I was an intelligence officer on the UAP task force. Allegations of aliens and their spacecraft are hard to accept, even coming from a respected insider. The notion comes with obvious questions. How could such non-human aircraft travel to Earth in the first place and go undetected by the general public? Grush says the craft may not be traveling through space as we understand it. It is well-established fact, at least mathematically and based on empirical observation and analysis, that there most likely are physical, additional spatial dimensions, he said. And you can imagine 4 and 5 dimensional space where what we experience is linear time ends up being a physical dimension in higher dimensional space where you were living there. You could translate across what we perceive as a linear flow. So there is a possibility that this is a theory here. I'm not saying this is 100% the case, but it could be that this is not necessarily extraterrestrial and is actually coming from a higher dimensional physical space that might be co-located right here. Sounds like my man's going full Rust Cole.
Yeah.
Time is a flat circle.
That's what I was getting ready to say. So do you think it's kind of something coming from
I need a 6-pack of Lone Star.
The dimension that what's his face got caught in? They're at the end of what is it? Interstellar.
He got stuck in the Tesseract.
Yeah, the Tesseract. It's just this is just insane to me. Like we talked about the one report that came out with all of the reported incidents. What was it? Probably about 6 months ago, maybe a year ago. Mm-hmm. People saying that they had radiation poisoning and stuff like that coming in contact with it. So now it gets to be where all these high level military people are starting to speak up. So what is that telling us? I mean, let's be skeptics here for a second.
Yeah.
Say, why is it that all these certain high level military people are coming out against this? Are they trying to make people believe that, aliens are real or something and pull off something bigger? Or is it just bullshit to begin with?
Or they're just something happened where that, they got their...
Because what kind of money could this guy benefit from?
Nothing.
I mean, I don't think there's any kind of money what money does he need? He's a high level military guy for 20, 30 years now?
Yeah. 18 years.
So he's got to have a great retirement or whatever. So I wouldn't think he needs...
Unless he's got a death wish, because you see like a lot of those when those guys come out with those whistleblowers or present evidence, like they end up fucking dying somehow.
Yeah.
Relatively quickly.
And I think that's why the new whistleblower law is going to be a little different now, because now guys don't have to run to Russia or whatever, like Edward Snowden and all that.
Yeah.
But it's weird. This just is, you wouldn't think this, look how many years have we been through this? And the one whistleblower that's most famous is Bob Lazar. If you want to call him a whistleblower. But, everybody thought it was bullshit because, they were able to do some things back then, and get rid of some records or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's a big question mark in his education. He says he went to MIT, but there's not really any proof.
Right.
But somehow the man got jobs doing something. He was an employee at S4. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
So it's just really weird. And this guy, I thought I had read somewhere that he was preparing part of the daily brief for the president on national security on this specific part of UAPs and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, he's at very high level. So it sounds like he was investigating, mm-hmm. and they put the the clamps down on him, and then he came out to the whistleblower.
Yeah.
But supposedly what he showed the inspector general is enough to take it seriously.
Yeah.
So somebody is taking it seriously in the chain of command.
Well, I think what was shocking with me is when that footage came out with those fighter pilots seeing that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, they know what they're talking about. Like, you're talking to fucking fighter pilots.
It's not just fighter pilots.
Yeah.
It's radar technicians, different sailors, different Marines. I mean, it's people from all branches of the military that are starting to come out about this shit now.
And that's not random bullshit people. These are trained people who go
Yeah.
for, extensive training and mental training. And I'm like, how are you going to just try to brush them off like they're bullshit?
I guess all of the other news stations passed on this story. Like Huffington Post and Washington Post and different stuff like that, because they wanted to further vet this. I've listened to a couple of interviews and, people talking about this, but it sounds like he's a very credible witness. So I guess time will tell if they just kind of sweep this under the rug and people forget about him, or if they keep pushing it. And because supposedly I think he's supposed to testify for Congress at some point, but I guess time will tell and we'll see what happens. I think the rest of the article is, people can go and read this if they want, or you can watch the full interview on newsnation.com.
Yeah.
So, or newsnationnow.com, whatever it is. But I think it's like an hour-long interview. And the guy, I watched an interview with the guy that interviewed him, and he seemed to think that he was very credible. And he didn't pick up on any, BS and all that. But then again, this guy's trying to make a name for himself. Older guy, obviously. But, he's a reporter. He wants to get his name out there for interviewing and breaking a story.
Right.
But I don't know, man. Rob and I are kind of like, we think something's out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's aliens, but whatever it is, because
It's something not right.
I feel like skeptics judge it on our understanding of science. Like, they don't think that there's anything else they think that we know it all. But what if there's something else out there that we just can't grasp or understand, and there's a level of technology that's so advanced and we don't fully understand the world we live in yet? What if there's just something else out there? More to learn, obviously. Yeah. And there's some kind of being, whether it's from another world or another dimension of some sort or another time, that just has a completely different understanding of what the universe entails, and space-time in general. So I think there's just you have to think of the possibility.
Well, I've always said this too. I said I just don't understand how people are going to be blinded or just think that we're the only intelligent life forms in the entire universe. You know what I mean?
And these crafts have popped up all over the place for
more and more lately.
Years and years, and now these UAP sightings are picking up, and people are like, well, why isn't it that people never get it on camera? And it's like, well, now they are getting it on camera. And they're like, well, why is it always fuzzy? It's because people don't have a full-on production camera in their pocket. Yeah. Those cameras are only, they can only focus in on so much and capture so much speed to them.
Well, and plus it's at night too, and not a lot of cameras are.
Well, they're catching them in daylight on planes now too. Yeah. So, what do you think, PBS?
Like many things, I'm severely skeptical. It would be, as you say, it would be maybe a little too much to say, oh, there's nothing out there and all that. I certainly don't believe that.
I think it's ignorant to say that.
Yeah.
I respect people that are skeptics. I think it's completely healthy to be a skeptic. But I think it's completely ignorant to say we know everything. It's clearly impossible. I don't think we know everything. I think I think that we're mildly advanced. And where we are now from where we are 1,000 years from now will be completely different. So our understanding of things will be, we'll look back and we'll be like, wow, we were ignorant back then with a lot of things, obviously.
The Dark Ages.
Yeah. The people will call it the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages stage 2. But anyways, go ahead.
No, like, and like we mentioned in that article, like, you say UFO, people think aliens. That doesn't, it could be some experimental craft we've never seen.
It just means unidentified.
And I think that's where people jump to a conclusion. Especially, I haven't seen a lot of the videos. I know they're out there. I know some are certainly more credible than others. Like some of them come directly from, like jet fighters and all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely things out there that we're not aware of one way or the other. And I actually like in this article that he brings up these don't necessarily need to be extraterrestrial beings. There's sort of extra dimensional things.
He in the actual interview, he dances around answering a lot of the questions the guy asks him. So he never really like gives you a definitive answer, but he does allude to you. Something is here, and we clearly know about it. We clearly have possession of items, whether it's debris to crafts to bodies that were flying the crafts. We have knowledge of it. So, and the thing, I would consider myself like, I love conspiracy theories and I love watching alien shit, but I just never knew. I thought I'd heard about it at one point in time, but supposedly he talks about this. The first craft they recovered was in like 1933 in Italy. It somehow got into the possession of, who led Italy at that time?
Was that Mussolini?
Mussolini, yes. Thank you. And supposedly something happened in between the wars there where the United States intercepted it and got possession of it. So I don't know. I didn't know about that. I always thought Roswell was kind of like the first one.
Well, that's like the most notorious.
Yeah.
Most famous.
But supposedly they've had this since the 30s and they've known about it, and that's part of his report. But I don't know. It's crazy shit when you start hearing this dude. And this is a guy that's just throwing his life away to tell people this shit, So, it just seems kind of odd that somebody would throw away such a illustrious career in the military and come out and be called a crock and, a crazy dipshit.
Yeah.
To, the humiliation. Why would you go through it? Unless you really believed it, Yeah. And you've seen something that you just can't explain. So I don't know. What do you think about that, PBS? Do you think he's out for money or something, or do you think he's mentally ill? You're the skeptic here, so I want to hear your point of view.
Well, first I'd have to check to see, like, are these for real government agencies and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Obviously, he'd say someone, or I would say he would say, well, maybe some of that's classified and all that. And maybe it obviously would be. So, it would be something that would benefit from like a deep dive. But like you say, he doesn't particularly have anything to gain. But if he's got some like military retirement, he doesn't really have that much to lose either, if he's already got all that stuff,
Right.
So I think, it's interesting stuff. And I think it's just one of those things, it would require research and transparency. Because obviously, if I had access to an alien craft, I probably wouldn't want people to know about it either.
Right.
Just imagine the chaos of people find out, like, oh, well, guess what? They are really real. Like,
it's crazy shit, dude.
People can't handle bullshit now these days, let alone a fucking extraterrestrial.
I don't think it'll be. I think if they came out today and they said, listen, here's the proof, and they showed everything they had, and they're like, yeah, we have it. We just don't understand how it works, so we can't use the technology. I don't think much would change. People would still believe in Jesus. They would still believe in God, and they make some bullshit decipher out of the Bible about it or whatever. I don't think anything's going to change. So I think people are ready for it if there is knowledge of it.
I think more people will be more scared that we have this technology that it'd be used somehow to harm people if we were able to.
It might get a little crazy if they came out and said, yeah, these people, they're taking you. There's nothing we can do about it. We've known for years.
Right.
Chances are everybody's been abducted at some point in their life. That people might get a little crazy then. But but what are you going to do about it? You still got to survive. Yeah. So
here's the keys how not to be abducted.
I guess my problem with these kinds of stories is always the same. It's always I heard it from somebody. And he even freely admits that, yeah, I haven't seen any of this stuff personally.
Supposedly he showed the Inspector General something.
Right.
So he's got something.
A lot of stuff always seems to be secondhand, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when your stoner friend says, "I got this video."
Yeah.
And some of that stuff is better looking than others. So, like I said, it's certainly sort of illogical to rule out something like the existence of aliens and the existence of we having some of that stuff. But at the same time, it certainly requires a bit of skepticalness.
Oh, definitely. I think there's no reason why. Like, it's important to be skeptical about a lot of things.
You know, it kind of goes back to like the space race and the moon landing conspiracies. Like, you know, if we faked the moon landing, surely a country like Russia would have been like, yeah, America faked the moon landing. They're not
they would
than
totally
us.
Call us out on it.
So, you know, I don't know. You'd have to believe in sort of like a conspiracy where they've got all the leaders of the free world and unfree world and all that kind of in their pocket and all that, and which, you know, it's not so out there that it's unbelievable, but it's maybe hard to believe. So
I want to live in a world where we walk down the street with Roger,
right,
from what was it, American Dad.
I know I'm a douchebag. I'm sorry.
Just see a naked alien walking down the middle of the road.
Yeah. Come on, Steve.
some ET.
Hey there, buddy. How you doing? Just on my way to get some groceries.
Well, I'd be like, I'll destroy all humans and just fucking shooting people with laser beams.
Like Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
So we got one last crazy news article for you, and it's funny. That came out, and then this story came out a couple days afterwards, and this actually happened on May 1st, but it's just now getting out in the open. So do you want to read this, or you want me to read it?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay, go for it.
UFO and large alien creatures reported in Las Vegas, and police took it seriously.
Yes, they did.
Come on, man. I've seen pyramids in Las Vegas. And
Yeah.
the Eiffel Tower. It was around midnight on April 30 when a Las Vegas family reported something crashed in their backyard, and there were big creatures on board. Midnight calls about large aliens and UFO sightings might normally be written off by police as pranks or drunks, but that's not what happened in Las Vegas recently, according to KLAS. Body camera video and 911 calls released by the Las Vegas Police Department show why the officers who responded to the call were, quote, nervous. It was late the night of April 30 when a Las Vegas family reported something crashed in their backyard and there were big creatures on board. There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one is inside, and it has big eyes, and it's looking at us, and it's still there. One family member told the 911 dispatcher, "I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified." So there's two people, there's two subjects in your backyard, the dispatcher asked. Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes. Like, I can't explain it. And big mouths, the caller replied. They're shiny eyes. They're not human. They're 100% not human. Around the same time, an LVPD officer's body camera recorded a bright light streaking across the sky. Several people across eastern California, Nevada, and Utah reported seeing the flash, according to the American Meteor Society. 2 officers were sent to the family's house. "I'm so nervous right now," one is heard saying on the body camera. "I have butterflies, bro. Saw a shooting star, and now these people say there's aliens in their backyard." Officer: "What did you see?" Witness: It was like a big creature." Officer: "A big creature?" "Yeah, more than 10 feet tall." Officer: "I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too. That's why I'm kind of curious." Witness: "I don't believe it, but I saw what I saw right now. I do believe in it." Officer: "You guys seem like legit scared, so I don't blame you." Officer: "Hey, if those 9-foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself." The officer joked as they were leaving.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
It's like, no, I'm serious. Don't call us. We're not coming out.
The following story, if you were to keep scrolling on that, says hundreds of pounds of pasta dumped near New Jersey stream. So, I mean, 8-foot beings and hundreds of pounds of pasta. So,
Yeah, it's all weird.
there's a lot of things out there.
They're feeding the beings.
But there, you can watch the cops body cam footage, and you can see that it looks like a meteorite to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it's funny because I see these people when I watch the officers respond. You see, the first thing you see is the meteorite or whatever you want to call it, the flash in the sky. It's blue, it has a tail. It just looks like something coming from space, some space debris of some sort. But you see the officers come, and it's obviously a family that where I think only a couple of them probably speak English. I don't think they were speaking Spanish though in the video, so I'm not sure.
Language.
Yeah, what language it was. But they all of them are packing heat, man. They all have guns on the side of their pants. And I'm thinking, man, if something 8 or 10 feet tall is in your backyard and you're carrying like that, and the backyard is huge because they have all kinds of equipment back there, like forklifts and different types of stuff like that.
Construction equipment.
Yeah, construction equipment. But I'm thinking, man, if something 8, 10 feet tall is in my backyard, these people in general, and they're really terrified and they're packing heat like that, I would think they just go out there and start shooting.
And not pay attention.
But it's weird in the video, none of them want to go in that backyard. Like they're kind of walking the cops back through there and they don't want to go. And of course, everybody on the internet is breaking this video down and looking at every last little shadow and like, look, those are eyes. That's a head.
Yeah.
These are claws running up and down the fence. Like, come on, people. Let's not overanalyze this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Supposedly there's video footage where you can hear a bang hit, but it doesn't appear like there's any crater marks or anything like that from a meteor. But I mean, I'm not an expert on that. I don't know what it would look like. Yeah. But I would think if it hit in your backyard, something would be smoking and there would be some kind of indentation in the ground. But I don't know. Supposedly, and then I've watched a handful of interviews on this and news segments. I sent you guys a news segment on it. And supposedly the cops are saying it wasn't a hoax. So something was back there and they believed the family. But I guess the family has kind of gone off the grid now because I think the investigation bureau or something came by and they put a camera up on the house or something. There's all kinds of crazy stories coming. So I kind of want to sit on this for a little, ignore all the other, private investigators on TikTok and all that. But I'd like to see after a couple of weeks what they dig up and find as far as how credible the family is. But I guess the one kid had a TikTok account explaining his story, and he did a couple interviews with people, and he got harassed big time. So he just, wiped out his internet records or whatever you want to call it, accounts and stuff like that. But a very interesting story, though. And it's funny that this happened on May 1st, but didn't come out until last week.
Right.
Right after this
whistleblower.
This whistleblower talks about, us having some sort of extra beans and craft available at our disposal. The government's anyways, and the, what do you want to call it? The other agencies in the military industrial complex. But very crazy stories, though, nonetheless.
And this is where it's times where you're like, being skeptical comes into play.
Oh, definitely.
But it's just like the certain thing of it is that something was back there because even when they're packing heat, they're like, I don't want to fucking go back there. And people who are packing heat will go.
That's the biggest thing I keep thinking about with this story. These people are all have handguns on the side. They're all holstered with handguns. And yet none of them want to go in this backyard and none of them want to shoot whatever is in their property. So, I mean, and I guess they had security cameras back there, but the security cameras they fuzzed out or something for a couple of minutes when that noise hit or something. But then people are submitting their Ring doorbells footage that were around there, and I guess the neighbors believe them. So that's another thing. But I don't know. It's just a fucking weird story, and I think that's probably why it took almost a month and a half to come out.
Yeah.
What do you think, PBS?
I don't know. Like I said, it's another.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's just another, push pin in the map. With the yarn around it. It's like, it's like you said. There should be, if something landed or crashed into your yard, there should be other evidence. Obviously, somebody should be able to just peek back around, like, oh, there's a big ass hole that maybe should or shouldn't be there.
Like from Men in Black.
Because, I mean, even tiny meteorites that crash leave, evidence that they crashed. Well, unless I'm mistaken on that. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. That's just my
they're
understanding of it.
Well, they're entering the Earth's atmosphere at
a lot of them
rate, so they're going to make some kind of.
Well, a lot of them burn up, and you just never notice that they come in. But if something crashes, if you hear a boom, like you hear in some of these videos, if you hear a boom, you should be able to see something, like some kind of impact that made that boom. But I don't know. I mean, I love science, but I'm not a scientist, so
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even begin to properly analyze it. I'm just bullshitting here, but something just seems odd. Like, and I keep going back to them packing the heat. And if there's really something that scary looking, why didn't you shoot it? Or maybe they did, and we're just not getting the full story. I don't know.
Or they're just like, no, like this fucking handgun ain't gonna do nothing to this 10-foot creature. Like,
yeah, maybe it took off and it ran down fucking, the middle of the strip, and it was taking pictures with people for money to get a ride back.
I mean, of all places for it to land in Vegas, like it wouldn't be fucking like that'd be nothing in Vegas.
It just ran into the desert and was like, "Fuck this place."
Yeah, it's like we scared it for coming back.
They were just shooting off some fireworks or something. They're like, "Fuck, the neighbors are going to call the cops. We better call them first."
Yeah, right. You think they were back there like shooting their guns and they were like blew up some pipe bomb or something? Right.
They were like, "A fucking alien landed here."
Call the cops and say it was an alien. We'll totally get out of this. They won't even look for the pipe bomb.
But I do agree with the cop. They're like, I'm serious. Don't call. We're not coming back.
Yeah, right? I'm not coming back.
That's a straight movie. Like, I'm not fucking coming
Call
back.
the fucking military, bro. I'm not handling that shit.
I don't know what that is, and I don't want to know.
Yeah,
right.
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, I'm here for civil disputes, not intergalactic disputes.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a couple more topics here. We're going to talk about Arnold's Netflix documentary. It's just called Arnold. Arnold. 3-part series. Man, I learned I didn't say I learned a lot, but there was a couple things on there I didn't realize. But very interesting documentary, and I mean, you get to hear Arnold cuss. I mean,
it's bullshit.
And smoking a cigar is just so fucking iconic.
Yeah. Man, that guy, how is he so healthy smoking all that? Is cigar smoking just not unhealthy? Or, I mean,
I think it is. It's just, I mean, I guess if that's your one vice.
Right.
And maybe he just does it only like when cameras are on or very seldom.
Bro, he smokes cigars every day of his life. Yeah, he's not taking any time off smoking cigars. But it's very interesting. It goes out from his childhood to him, getting into bodybuilding, to training. And, they have a mandatory military in Austria. So, and he ended up, didn't he kind of leave the military to compete in the...
Well, according to him, he took off. He went AWOL or whatever.
Yeah, and just never went back.
To go into a competition, and I guess maybe he's lucky he won.
Yeah.
So when he comes back, they're kind of like, okay, cool. You're like a, you're like our recruitment guy. Like, look, our guy just won Mr. Junior Universe or whatever.
Right.
How you going to kick him out of the army?
I'm really not going to at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that I didn't even know Austria had a mandatory military.
Yeah,
I know some places do. I know like South Korea does.
Yeah.
But, I didn't know Arnold was in the military. And I didn't know Arnold had a brother.
Yeah.
And
Meinhard.
Yeah, I did know that his dad was a Nazi, though. And it sounds like he was a Nazi by affiliation.
Arnold's talked about it before. Like, if you were an adult, then you were either a Nazi or you were dead, probably.
Well, because they conquered that area, didn't they? And so they were like, you're either joining the military or we're killing you.
Yeah,
so there's really no option.
Not like you had a whole lot of choice.
But his dad was the local policeman of the village they lived in or whatever. So he had a very strict uprising, I guess you could say, or upbringing. But so it was a very interesting documentary. They go into a lot of shit. I mean, they do Arnold the bodybuilder, Arnold the movie star, and then the last episode's Arnold the politician.
How was I haven't watched episode 3 yet. How did you feel about episode 3?
Well, obviously they make him out to be like California's greatest governor of some sort. But
but that's not true.
Yeah, it's obviously not true. And they're like, well, he didn't get this accomplished, but he did this, this, and this, and this was as much as any governor's ever done and pushed through. And it's just like, yeah, but he kind of sucked as a politician.
Yeah.
But it's funny because in the documentary, he talks about the 80s and his love for Ronald Reagan and how great everybody in America was doing. And Ronald Reagan didn't take shit from anybody. And it's like, well, Ronald Reagan was just kind of like a piece, like he was just a puppet for people to do stuff behind the scenes. And I think we know that now through history.
Yeah. You can certainly say, the 80s were, I don't know if you would call them like a high water mark, but it was a good time in general. Yeah. Obviously, there's always bad things happening to people, but
right. Well, and a lot of people I talked to, you couldn't buy a car in the 80s like we could today because the interest rates were so high. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, a lot of people just had used stuff, but obviously I was a baby in the 80s, so I don't remember anything. I can tell you that it feels like the 90s were really great.
Yeah.
It just felt like everybody was better off in the 90s.
Well, because I think about this sometimes. I'm sure you were told as a person in school in the 90s that things were only going to get better and easier.
Right.
Like we talk about AI and stuff. Like AI is supposed to come along and get rid of, and automation is supposed to get rid of the burger flippers. And those people can go be, doctors or something, whatever they can be. And now we're worried like, no, they're going to replace the burger flippers and the burger flippers are just going to get fired and kicked to the curb. Yeah. And so it's, we were taught kind of that all these good things were coming. And it's kind of like, well, maybe not so much. Yeah. And I think...
Sure about that?
Yeah.
And I think...
Sure about that? You
sure about that?
I think, that's why, we got to... I always try to check my nostalgia for the 80s and 90s. Because...
It definitely did seem like funner times, and people were less stressed and not as on edge all the time.
Well, this was America, everything was going great. There was no particular, there was no worldwide war conflicts,
Right.
Your computers are coming along, things are looking up, like they talk about like the new Gen Z or whatever, they're not as good with technology and stuff. And some of that is because as millennials, because as we were coming up, there was like something new every week or something,
right,
that you had to learn and adapt to and kind of figure out. So I think, and that's kind of what Arnold does here is we're looking back fondly on these times that in their way were maybe more stable. They certainly had their own problems, but there pandemics, no pandemics in the 80s or 90s, recessions, no particular recessions, or certainly not what we've seen in our lifetime.
Yeah,
after
nothing
that.
as drastic as what we've been through.
So, as a time in America, it was relatively stable.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to look back on that time and be like, oh, yeah, it was a good time. And not to mention us, we were kids. Yeah, we loved being kids. Someone like Arnold, he's going to look back on the 80s, be like, I was rich, I was young, I was making movies. Of course, it was a good time.
And that's something I didn't know, that he was millionaire by the time.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either, that he was a millionaire before he was even into movies.
I figured he probably made money just from bodybuilding, but I figured
he made enough to, have a decent life or whatever. You know?
Not like a millionaire where he's like into real estate and this and
they
that.
said he said in that documentary he was buying up all the office buildings in LA and he was a millionaire before he knew it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Insane.
Imagine it's like first of the month and rent is due. Like what?
Put the cookie down and pay me my rent.
The Terminator's coming to your house looking for rent. Like, I ain't got it, Arnold. Sorry. Like, I'll fucking crush you.
You're a fucking choir boy.
You and your 4% body fat. You fat fuck.
I did love that
when you fucking yell at me.
In the first episode where he says, I came to America and I'm fat.
Yeah.
I got to say, because I haven't seen the third episode yet. It's kind of the one I'm looking forward to the least.
I think you'll enjoy it.
But I'm curious.
Yeah.
But like, I thought the first episode particularly was really good because it really got into his upbringing. It really got into the bodybuilding stuff, which I didn't know a ton about. Like you said, episode 2 is about the movies, like how we grew up during the height of Arnold. Anyway.
Oh yeah, right in his prime.
And I was kind of upset they didn't dig into it a little more. This is, like I said, episode 1 is good. They get into him, his family, his brother, and all that. Yeah, they get into all the people that helped him. One thing I love about Arnold is he's always like that. It's like, oh yeah, this person helped me here, and this person helped me here. And sure, I did all this on my own, but if not for them, I might not be here.
He's even said that too. He's like, when someone says, "Oh, you're self-made," he's like, "No, the fuck, I'm not." He's like, these people helped me. This person. If anything of what I'm not is, I'm not self-made.
Yeah,
these people helped build me.
He really is like the embodied spirit of like what it means to be an American.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he really. Yet again, back to the Reagan thing, like this guy lived the American dream. He is an immigrant. He came here. He got rich. he got into politics, you know?
Yeah. He's literally done it. He's lived the American dream. He came here, he prospered, and he's living a great life. I mean, what else can you say? But yeah, I mean, it was a really good documentary, and they even addressed, you know, all the dirty little things that Arnold's been, you know, from the when he was elected governor, and all the scandal came up about him groping women, and
that's kind of what I'm interested to get to and see how they handle it.
I mean, he talks about it, and he goes, listen, there's one part in the interview where he's like, listen, what I did back in the day, it was bullshit, and it was wrong. He goes, you know, whether it was acceptable back then, he's like, it was bullshit.
I mean, and that's true. I mean, things were so different back then, but I mean, it is bullshit and not acceptable, but
yeah,
man,
definitely
it's
by
different
today's
style.
standards.
Oh yeah, by today's standards, very different. Yeah.
And I read that part in an interview, and that's, I mean, obviously he's, you know, 60s now or whatever, and he's got his money, you know, he could be like, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. But, and he even says that at some point, he was kind of like that, trying to make excuses, and maybe they're valid, maybe not.
Yeah.
But he even says, you know, they're all kind of bullshit. I did it. I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. That's the thing that I think is cool about Arnold. He's humble. He admits the wrong stuff he's done. And they even get into his affair and him fathering a kid. And he was like, look, I was scared to lose my life. And, you know, he ended up losing his family over it. But, you know, everybody's kind of healed from it. And
that's in episode 2, they talk about him meeting and marrying Maria Shriver.
Boy, she was a babe back in the day.
She was really cute.
Yeah.
And
because I've always known Maria Shriver as the older lady.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen younger pictures of her like that. But.
So it was obvious, like he was talking about her and they had this relationship and he liked her and all that, but she wasn't in the documentary.
No, she wasn't.
And I was not particularly surprised by that, but I was wondering if they were going to address it in part 3 about the infidelity and that kind of stuff. And like, I mean, the guy married into the Kennedy family.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
He tells the story about like, I'm going to church with, you know, Ruth Kennedy or whatever. And all I got is my, you know, tennis outfit on.
Yeah.
Looking like a dumbass.
It's really an amazing story when you look at it. I mean, the dude just conquered the world. He had the world by the balls, I guess you could say, at one point in time. But I mean, he wins a bodybuilding competition, then he goes to LA and just becomes a superstar after that. He just worked.
I didn't know he just lived in the gym. That's what I did. Wake up and train every day.
He worked his ass off and he got somewhere.
I mentioned it when we talked about the Tony Hawk documentary. Like, I hate these people because I'm jealous. Like, to sort of wake up one day, especially at kind of a young age, you'd be like, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. And like Tony Hawk did with skateboarding, like he did with bodybuilding. I'm like, I'm jealous of that because I don't know if I've ever in my life for one moment known exactly what I wanted to do.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like
That's how I've always felt. Like I don't, like people are always like, well, you got to know what you got to do the rest of your life. I don't fucking know. Like, well, the money's in being a doctor. I definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not touching anybody. I'm not dealing with anybody's bullshit. Like it just is what it is, you know. And for people like us that have all kinds of different hobbies, I mean, it's like, where do you find it and where do you stick to it, you know? But I mean, people like Tony Hawk and Arnold, they loved one thing in particular, and they just
excelled.
They literally, like, I mean, Tony Hawk said, I saw it that day, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. Arnold says, you know, I went to the movies and I saw Reg Park as Hercules, and I'm like, I want to look like that. I want to be that.
Yeah.
And it's just like I said, I hate those kind of people because I'm just jealous. Like,
I'm right there with you, dude.
Arnold says it, especially in that first part. Like, I could see it. It was my vision. I was going to do this. It wasn't like a fantasy or whatever. It was like
it was just meant to be.
It was a clear vision of what I wanted to do.
Rob just wants to be a lazy piece of shit and sit on the couch.
That's what I see in my vision. I see the couch.
Yes.
Hey, do you want to go see The Flash? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No excuse. We gotta watch kids. I can't go.
Which is true.
He says it. There wasn't no fucking kids over there. He sat in the house all weekend.
There was 10-foot beings in the backyard.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing. Rob, like, hey, Rob, do you want to go out? No, there's aliens in my backyard. I'm scared to leave the house by.
Sure, Rob, whatever.
They're fucking downstairs, bro, hanging out, chilling.
But yeah, I really liked the first part. Second part, I didn't like it quite so much. But like I said, I was there. I watched all those movies. I've watched the behind the scenes and all that, so I kind of knew some of that stuff more.
Yeah, it's a great documentary, and
I highly recommend the first hour.
Yeah, if you're an Arnold fan, it's a must watch. Check it out. You'll hear it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
I would love to have a series with Arnold and Sly just fucking with each other for like an entire.
They should
season.
just have Arnold like record cuss words and all different kinds of reactions.
Yeah,
That was something I was kind of disappointed in episode 2. There wasn't a little more Sly and them talking about.
That's another thing I didn't know about. Before we get off this topic, was the big rivalry him and Sylvester Stallone had.
Yeah.
Like,
I knew it was big, but I didn't know it was that big.
I thought they had a little thing, but I didn't know it was so bad that they couldn't be in a room together.
Yeah.
And this was for years.
Well, you've heard the story probably about the way Arnold kind of tricked Stallone into doing Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, because Arnold said like he was interested.
Yeah.
And then he wanted like a lot of money to do it or something, and he kind of tricked Stallone into taking the script or whatever he says,
See, I didn't know the movie. I knew he did that, but I didn't know the movie.
Yeah, he got him to do a bullshit movie because it was a competition. Who can make the biggest blockbuster? And
that's what Sly said. He's like, at the end of it, he's like, who's got the bigger guns? Who's got the bigger knife? He said, at the end, we're carrying fucking cannons. That should be on ships.
Yep. Man, phenomenal documentary, though. Definitely check it out. It's on Netflix. It is a Netflix exclusive, because he's the CEO of, or what is he? He's the chief operating officer of Action or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's you haven't seen that commercial?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's like the CFO of Action or something like that. It's something weird.
Yeah, they got a lot of Arnold right now on Netflix. They got his documentary. They got his new series Fubar. They got a good chunk of his movies.
Yeah, good chunk of his movies.
Yeah,
it's awesome now. Okay, so moving on, we got 2 more things left here, and they're gonna be super quick. But we have What You Watching right now. So Rob, what you watching?
I'm actually catching up on Dave on Hulu. I thought I finished the first season, but I was incorrect. I had only finished like the first half of the first season. Man. So it's actually really funny.
Dave is fucking awesome.
Yeah. So Dave
and I'll
is
get
good.
to that later when we get to my turn.
So Dave, and then if you get a chance to check out the Korean TV show Bloodhounds, it's on Netflix.
It's no surprise that you would find this show and like it.
And it's fucking awesome. I give it like 3.5 on Letterboxd. But then I've mostly been watching movies. So Dave, and then there's another Netflix series I want to watch. It's called The Days. It's based on a true story.
Yeah. The Japanese meltdown.
Meltdown, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
From the tsunami.
Yeah.
That does look really good. I'm interested in that.
Yeah. So mostly just Dave and just that's really about it, and just random bullshit movies.
Here we go. Here's the fucking list of a century coming up. Let us hear it, man. What do you got?
Well, I will say I did finish Picard season 3. Excellent season. I really liked it.
So fucking good, wasn't it?
On top of that, Strange New Worlds just started this week. I haven't watched the first episode yet. I think I'm going to go back and rewatch the last season and then come back to this one in next week. So I'm looking forward to that. I watched the first episode of the new Black Mirror season. I'll save that because I'm sure we'll talk about that in a week or two. Here.
Yeah, I think next show we'll definitely talk about that. And next show will be right before 4th of July. So we'll have to do something 4th of July, I think.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to checking out the rest of those. First episode was pretty solid. Some people are really loving it. I didn't super love it, but it was pretty solid. I'm told it's more of a return to form.
Okay.
But I give you the rundown on some of the movies. It's fthismovie.com does Junesploitation. So like each day they have like a different genre to pick from or whatever. So I've been kind of doing that, but I'm behind.
fthismovie.com.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I'm behind on the list, but that's fine. I'll catch up. So I rewatched John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness for my 80s horror.
Love that.
That's like my underrated Carpenter movie that I'm always telling people about.
I'm not even like religious, and I just fucking love that movie. It was so good.
The mix of sort of science fiction and religion and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a very sort of
I almost kind of would like to see a remake of that, but I just know they'd fuck it up.
Right. It would not be good at all.
Yeah. Like that movie it had me tense. I was like sitting up watching it.
Yeah.
And I can think of maybe 2 other movies that have done that for me.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, John Carpenter does like the Dread stuff really good.
Yeah. Yep.
And especially that one. Watched a Randolph Scott Western for Western Day called Hangman's Knot. Wish Hot Sauce were here because he'd make fun of me for that one for sure. I watched one called The Stone Tape, which I was watching because it's sort of kind of related to Prince of Darkness. It's a BBC like made for TV thing from the 70s about like this haunted room, and like are the ghosts sort of trapped in different layers of the stones that like insert however you can perceive them, but there's different layers and all. It's kind of interesting. It's a little definitely dated, but kind of interesting, and it ties into Prince of Darkness a little bit. For my Kung Fu day, I watched the 36th Chamber of Shaolin, which is sort of like the classic Kung Fu kind of movie where he wants to be trained to be a Shaolin monk to take revenge on people, and he's got to go through all the trials and tribulations and learn how to do this and that. Sort of like the quintessential kind of Kung Fu movie.
Okay.
For Fred Williamson Day, I watched a movie called Joshua. I wish this one was better. It's a Western where Fred Williamson comes back from the Civil War, and his mom is like working on a farm or something, and some people show up. They kill his mom, and they take like the mail order bride of the rancher or whatever. And it could have been really cool if it was like there's a few moments in it where it's almost like a slasher movie because he's going after these guys who killed his mother, and he's dressed all in black, and he's almost like Terminator-ish at certain points. So like if you could go back in time and just kind of like sprinkle it into the script, that like he needs to be more of like almost like a slasher villain, like a Freddy or Jason or something. That would have been really cool. As it was just kind of okay. But that's one of those ones like, man, you see what they could have done if they'd have known better. Mm-hmm. But, obviously this was pre-Terminator, all that stuff. I think, I forget which day it was. Oh, it was Canon Day. I watched Death Wish 2 with Charles Bronson.
Can't go wrong with Death Wish.
That one is...
You can't go wrong.
Some of those Death Wishes are tough.
They are.
Like there's a scene where his daughter is like kidnapped and raped by this gang. And after it, she like runs out of the second floor window and like dives onto an old like wrought iron gate fence with like the pokers poking up, and she lands right on it. I'm like, God dang, that's hard to watch.
Yeah.
For Slasher Day, I watched one called Alone in the Dark. That's got Donald Pleasance is like a psychiatrist, and it's got Martin Landau and Jack Palance as these kind of as these psychos, basically. It's got a guy called the Bleeder who wears a hockey mask, and this was before Jason wears his hockey mask in Friday 3 or whatever. So that's kind of the trivia with that one. It's okay, kind of slow. I was kind of into it, but not super into it. I might have to give it another watch at some point. And then I forget what day it was. I watched Dog Soldiers. That was a rewatch.
Oh, so, I fucking
top
love
5.
that movie.
Yeah.
Top 5.
I hadn't seen that one in a while, and I picked up the Scream Factory 4K Blu-ray a while ago, where they found the footage. Their last Blu-ray, they didn't have the footage to sort of remaster, so they had to do it from other sources, and it wasn't as good. For 90s Action Day, I watched End of Days with Arnold.
I just watched that too.
How was that rewatch for you?
It's okay.
I've been wanting to rewatch it because, like we mentioned on the last show, we were just young guys when that came out, and I'd love to rewatch it.
I think it leaves Netflix on July 1st.
Oh, yeah, I have to get it in this week.
There's it's another one of those movies, like there's a really cool idea in there, but it's just a little too long and a little too kind of convoluted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you're watching it, that's what you'll be thinking. I think like, man, this is okay, but there's a better movie in here.
Yeah.
I watched the original Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, nice.
For Cars Day. That is.
So do they recommend movies for you, or do they just give you a theme?
They do. They do have like a list where like you can click on it, and sometimes it'll take you like to the Wikipedia page. Like, here's Cars movies, or sometimes it'll recommend you specific ones.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
You'll have to start posting those on our group.
Yeah. And then I did I don't know how to say it, I'm going to say it wrong, but there's a genre of like Italian crime dramas called like a poliziotti drama or whatever. And it's basically kind of like cops and criminals, and it's usually almost like a gory graphic violence sometimes. So those are kind of interesting. That's called Savage 3. That was okay. For Monster Day, I rewatched Monster Squad, of course.
Of course,
hadn't seen that one in a year or two. That's definitely a favorite. I try to watch every year. So that was really, really fun to rewatch. And then for the start of the month, it was Teenagers Day. I actually watched 2 movies. Rewatched 2 movies that I hadn't seen in a long time. One of them was Drop Dead Gorgeous, which was really good. I kind of forgot how dark that one was, about all the the Mount Rose teen pageant, Miss Teen America, where they're all trying to be the pageant winner. Kirstie Alley's in that. What's her name? Mary Jane from Spider-Man.
Oh, I know.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, she's in that. I think it was one of the first movies of Amy Adams or something like that. Like I said, it had Denise Richards in it. I forgot just kind of how dark and funny that one was. And I watched another rewatch I hadn't seen in a long time. I watched Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Fantastic.
And that one, I thought it held up pretty decent. It's not the best, but it's definitely not like the worst 90s movie you can rewatch from your childhood. And I thought that was pretty cool. That's about what I've been watching.
Shut up, fat ass.
I can't remember if I can't remember.
It's
if I
a
said,
long fucking list, bro.
Can't remember if I mentioned on the last show that I rewatched. I Know What You Did Last Summer for the first time in a while.
Oh, yeah, I don't think you did.
I can't remember for sure if I did or not. But that was very 90s and kind of fun to revisit.
I fucking love that movie.
See, I never watched the series that came out that was on Amazon. I keep forgetting about it.
Obviously, it wasn't too great.
Yeah,
Didn't make it. Of course, you don't really know when these shows are on anymore.
It's so much and it's so hard. And
everything
stuff doesn't stick around.
Right. So, I myself have been catching up with Dave. But I am not on the first season or starting the second season. I'm caught up.
Yeah.
I just caught the finale. That finale for this year was fucking hilarious. Brad Pitt's in it.
Oh, wow.
And they get held hostage by a super fan or whatever you want to call it.
Mega fan. Whatever.
Yeah, mega fan. Just a psychotic person. And it is fucking hilarious, dude. Like, I don't think I've laughed that hard in a long time. And then, like I said earlier in the show, I've been catching up on Fear the Walking Dead. Man, that show's just gone. It is crazy. It's good. It's way better than The Walking Dead.
Yeah, and I think I stopped on season 3 or 4.
Oh, dude, you got a lot of good stuff coming up.
Yeah, because I think
that's when it gets good.
Well, this is right when they go to the camp.
Yeah,
with the people. So I know
it gets way better, dude.
I know the mom was badass. She had a spoon in the motherfucker's eyeball. Like, I'll fucking tear this out.
I'm trying to catch up. I think I'm on last year's season now. And this year is the last season for Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's serious.
And then Death City comes out tonight, actually.
Yeah.
Or Dead City, not Death City, with Negan and Maggie.
Yeah. Well, you know what else comes out tonight, though?
What's
the
that?
new season of The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, yeah, that is right. Our show's back, baby.
Show's back, man.
But, man, I love the Fear the Walking Dead. The characters are so fucking cool. And, I mean, it's just a different element. Like, at one point, they're in a nuclear fallout, and there's, like, fucking radioactive zombies walking around, and, people, it's like Fallout. They're walking around in their gear, looting shit, and it's cool as fuck, man. I'm really enjoying it, though. And then I actually bought Creed 3 was on sale the other week. I'm kind of pissed. As soon as I bought it the next day, I think it's on Prime now.
Whatever.
I'm like, what the fuck, man? Mm-hmm. But I got it for like $11.99 or something, so I'm not complaining too much. Yeah. Not as good as the first two. Not as good.
Well, this is Michael B. Jordan's debut.
Well, I mean, it's not that it's badly directed or anything like that, but I mean, Rocky isn't in it, and it's just weird without Rocky in it. Like, and they mentioned some things, like he says some things that Rocky taught him, but I mean, there's just this void in the movie that
it's him not even being there.
Yeah, it's just weird. And like they had Drago was in it again, the son, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. Like, he's at the end of his prime, and a friend of his that got arrested when he was a kid comes out, and then he wants to revive his boxing career, and it's just, I don't know. It's good, but it's not anywhere on the same level as the first two.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know if they even really needed to make a third one. And supposedly, I think they're going to go on to something else with it, but I don't know.
Unless they have Sly in it doing something.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel the same without Rocky, even though it is Creed's story. What are you playing footsie with me under the?
Oh, sorry.
All the show, he keeps like tapping my foot and shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, there's just something missing with it. But yeah, and then I totally forgot that How I Met Your Father went on like a break, and I've got like 7 episodes of that to catch up. Every time I watch that show, I'm like, man, I've been sleeping on Hillary Duff all these years.
I think a lot of us have been.
She is a baddie, man. She is hot. Like the whole time I'm watching the show, I can't even pay attention to the, what's going on in the show. I'm just like, she's just so fucking gorgeous. And I typically don't like, blonde haired women. I prefer darker haired women, but man, she's hot in that. But yeah, that's what I've been catching up on. Enough with my creepiness with Hillary Duff.
It's okay though.
Right.
It's valid. It's okay.
Perfectly natural, right?
Yeah.
Hillary Duff's going to find you in her backyard.
Yeah.
I thought it was an alien officer.
It's coming right for us.
It's just a fat bald guy.
Another one?
Yeah. How many restraining orders do I have to get on these fat bald guys?
It's like the 6th one this week.
It would be like Jack Black and Saving Silverman. I just want to party with you, Hillary. I just want to party with you, Neil.
I just want Big Montana. That's all I want.
Yeah. I fucking love that movie. That movie was great. All right, so we're at the tail end of the show here. I went and saw The Flash yesterday. I asked repeatedly for you guys, do you want to come out? Do you want to come out? I never got an answer from PBS. He just doesn't answer. Like, please answer me next time. Mm-hmm. Just say, no, I don't want to go. You won't hurt my feelings. Now, Rob, on the other hand, Rob makes up a story and gets out of it. And, now we just get to make fun of him. But Rob has
nothing new.
Did you like the TikTok I made of Bill Hader dancing?
I hate that song. It used to be, I think like 2 or 3 years ago, it was on like a Levi's commercial or something.
Yeah.
So now all the time I just hear, ooh-wee.
Yeah. Ooh-wee.
It's like, I hate it.
But Rob was like, he finally answers it on Friday night when I'm like, hey, last call, I'm buying my ticket, whatever. I ended up going with an old coworker and his son. My buddy Mills, shout out to Mills. But I threw the last call out there and Rob's like, well, you see, Tracy's nephews are coming over. Nieces. Sorry, nieces. And
You gotta insult me. Get the shit correct.
We have to watch them.
He gives you his life story.
I can't leave the house for 2.5 hours. It'll just be too much on her. Oh, nobody's ever made it with 2 kids before for a couple of hours. And a blind dog. It's just, life is terrible for me right now. I can't leave the house.
See, I didn't say that last part. Everything else is fine.
It was implied.
That's exactly what he was thinking.
So stressed right now.
I just need to sit on the couch and watch Extraction 2.
Which I did watch.
What's the guy's name that plays in that?
Hemsworth?
Yeah, my Chrissy Hemsworth is playing on Netflix.
Chrissy.
My Chrissy Hemsworth, I gotta see him.
Like we're best friends, call him Chrissy. Fuck out of here.
No, it's like you have a man crush on him.
No.
He's Chrissy.
I wish you'd extract me from this couch.
I need to be saved.
If only he could extract me from my blind dog and my terrible life.
It's pretty fucking terrible.
He could save me from this dreadful house and all of my problems.
He can John Wick the brownie.
Maybe I can be on his Disney Plus show. We can go climb a mountain together. And
He has a Disney Plus show?
I can see his big muscles when he's reaching for the next rock to climb.
Lift me up, Chris. I've always wanted to be tall.
Lift me up like you lift that Mjolnir.
Chrissy, take me to bed or lose me forever.
You need to like Photoshop a picture of like Chris Hemsworth picking Robzilla up to put like the star on a tree or something.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Oh man, that'd be so funny.
Oh man.
Now, anyways, man, I went and saw The Flash yesterday. I got to tell you, I had a lot of fucking fun watching this movie, and I'm so sad that you guys didn't get to experience it with me, because it's one of those movies where I would have loved to have sat there and talked to you guys afterwards about it.
Yeah.
But man, it's funny because people are complaining. Most people seem to enjoy it, but you have those people complaining about like the CGI and stuff like that, but they don't understand that like they're showing you a different perspective of something else. Like it's not supposed to be all high grained and the best graphics you've ever seen in your life or visual effects. I'm sorry. But they did. I thought they did it very interesting. you know, like when the Flash moves fast, I mean, everything is slow around him. So it's a different point of view. And I think people want to see like the CW style where he moves like super quick or whatever and all that. But there's like it really, like when it starts and it keeps going from there. But the one thing I will say is Ezra Miller did kind of annoy me in it. Like the second Barry that he played was really fucking annoying. Like he does this laugh and it just cut right through me. But
this motherfucker needs to
He does
die.
this.
There's tons of throwbacks to all of your favorite DC movies and stuff like that. And I mean, they go through the Speed Force and they get all kind of crazy with the time travel. But Michael fucking Keaton, man, I got to tell you, it was so fucking great to see Michael Keaton get like he's always been a badass Batman, but this time like there's a full on fight with him. Like I would say it's every bit as good, if not better, than Ben Affleck's fight scene in Batman versus Superman
And the warehouse.
in the
scene.
warehouse. Like it's fucking good, man.
Yeah.
But it's
What
kind of
murder?
yeah. What murder? He's a good guy. I was waiting to see if you'd seen that video or whatever.
The funny one.
But man, it was awesome to see Michael Keaton get up to date kind of Batman where he's actually fighting and jumping around and flying through the air with a grappling hook. And it's kind of funny because the technology he has is kind of outdated because he's quit being Batman.
Right.
And he's just kind of chilling in Wayne Manor. But it's still cool. You know, they crack some jokes about it and stuff like that. But even the girl that played Supergirl, look her name up, Rob.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm telling you to look her name up. I got a computer in front of me.
That's fine.
But I mean, she was really good in it, and I like the way, you know, they went to another universe, but some things were the same and some things were completely different. So it was very cool, man. And like I said, like for those of us that have grown up with the Michael Keaton Batmans and the Christopher Reeve Supermans and all the older DC movies in general, it's just like it literally made me feel like a kid again.
Sasha Callie.
Yeah. She was fine as hell in that Superman outfit too, by the way. But yeah, it was just a super fun movie. And I mean, I left and I was like, man, I had a really good time watching this movie. Like it was just fucking cool. Is it a perfect movie? Absolutely not. And does it compare to like the first Avengers or Endgame of something like that? No, absolutely not. It's not on that level, but it's a great movie. And people will say that it doesn't reset the DC universe or whatever, but it sort of does. So, I mean, at this point, you can understand like they're going in another direction.
Right.
And those people are just kind of existing, you know, parallel or whatever. But super fun movie. I highly recommend it. Get out and watch it. See it on the IMAX. I mean, don't wait for it to come on streaming. These movies are meant to be seen on the big screen, right?
Yes.
Right, PBS?
Yes.
When you can, get out and sit on the big old screen.
Yeah, I mean, and wait a couple weeks if not. But last I heard, it's ahead. It did like 9 million on opening Thursday night or something like that. So they were tracking ahead of what they thought they were going to do. So I guess that's a good thing. And then the director of this movie, what is his name?
Andy Muschietti.
Andy Muschietti. I hear he's going to be directing the Batman Brave and Beyond or
Brave and the Bold or whatever.
Brave and the Bold. Yes. Sorry. But I heard he got they were so pleased with how this movie turned out. They wanted him to do the next Batman movie. Obviously not the Pattinson Batman, but you know, the James Gunn Batman, the Gunn universe Batman, as we'll say. Why haven't they given him, you know, they got the Snyderverse. Why haven't they called it the Gunverse yet?
Because they haven't got into it yet.
Yeah, but I mean,
really got
they don't even refer to it. They just kind of say new DCU or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I guess he said Blue Beetle was actually the first movie in that timeline.
Yeah.
So, which by the way, that looks really good. Have you guys seen the previews?
Well, you see in the trailer, but he like transforms. It looks like a fucking like possession horror movie.
Yeah, it does,
You're like,
doesn't it?
like this is fucking DC. What is this?
Yeah, what's his face that plays the dad? George
Lopez.
George Lopez is like screaming like a little girl, like, oh my God.
And of course, the guy who plays in that or Blue Beetle is the guy from
Cobra Kai. Yeah. Blue Beetle's going to be awesome, man.
Miguel. Yeah, it does look good.
It's going to be good, man.
Makes that sword.
Yeah.
It's fucking sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's cool to see like a Hispanic superhero too. I mean, you just don't see a whole lot of it. So it's cool that they get that in there too. Get some diversity going here. But yeah, so go out and see The Flash. You'll love it. And if you don't love it, I'm sorry, you're not cool. So I'm just going to say that. But I gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. I mean, I had fun watching it, and it exceeded my expectations. So, but yeah, definitely enjoyed it. But this is all we have for episode 160 of the Sleazy Podcast, the world-renowned Sleazy Podcast. As always, my call to action is to share the show. Share the show on your social media accounts. Share it. Just send it randomly to a stranger via text message or something like that. Or share it with your friends, you know, when they start talking about movies and TV or crazy events. Like, hey, we know guys that talk about that shit.
Or just be a loser and don't share it, you loser.
Yeah, whatever. But, yeah, so make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, too. Leave comments. I mean, all that stuff helps out and helps us get back in the algorithm and so people can see it and listen to us.
If you think you can insult Robzilla better than us, you just give it your best damn shot.
Yes.
I doubt it.
You know, I was thinking about making a Discord thing for us.
Yeah.
So, you know, people could like chat and call Rob a piece of shit. But I don't know if people would do it because they don't really. Sometimes people interact on social media and sometimes they don't. So it is what it is.
Weird social media times at the moment.
It is. People are a little
Hesitant.
They're just absent. Like they're there, but they're not engaging. We'll just say that. I think people are just tired of arguing with people.
Yeah.
Which it is what it is. I don't care. I mean, we're talking about movies and shit. Like
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. But thanks as always for listening. If you would like a t-shirt or anything, make sure you visit thesleazypodcast.com and you can go to the online store and pick some merch out. And if there's something you'd like, you can always message us and let us know what it is, maybe a hat or something like that. And we can always look to find something for you. But as always, keep it sleazy.
Thanks for listening to the Sleazy Podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and remember, listen to Sleazy.